I know what you're thinking. And no, this was not a terrible idea. In fact, I think this was one of the greatest decisions I have ever made for this guitar. So, seeing as you've read the title of this video, I sanded my guitar neck. This thing used to be super glossy, but compared to the body, this thing doesn't even shine anymore. It's just, it's a satin neck now. So, okay. So, this is an Epiphone DR-100. This has been my acoustic guitar since March 2019, and I mean I've owned it for 2 years probably. I don't 2 years, 3 years, going on three. This thing is my first guitar, and this thing has gone through many changes in its lifetime with me. Uh, Especially considering that I was a beginner starting with this out. So let me give you a little story time, right? So this thing came stock with Diodario 12 gauge strings, and those are considered medium, but to a beginner like me at the time, those are heavy strings, and you will learn very quickly that your hands are unsuited to play something like those. So first change I did, change the strings to a lighter gauge. I was looking around, asking my friends, guitarist friends at the time, for tips maybe, and they pointed me towards Ernie Ball 10s. Doesn't even have to be Ernie Ball, just any string company. Gauge 10s are recommended for beginners. I would say, maybe 9, but that's pushing it. So yeah, this thing used to come with 12s, and it used to be hard to do normal chords like that. But now, like, it's bar chords are basically seamless, and it's fun to do solos. Well, not really solos, but like whatever that was. It's not only easy, it's not only comfortable, but it's also fun to do now because of how easy it was. So before I did this, I also got an electric guitar as a gift, and that thing taught me many things. It taught me that I have certain preferences that I would like to see in acoustic, but I can't get the sound of an acoustic from an electric, right? So as a reference point, let me get my electric. This is a Squier Stratocaster, right? It has a satin neck, so this thing doesn't shine, right? And it's really smooth, and so that's where I got the idea of, oh, I like this kind of neck on an acoustic. And then this thing also has a cutaway here, so you can access the higher frets, which is something I want on an acoustic. But we're never cutting into this thing's body. That's a different issue. So I thought, how can we maximize comfort on my acoustic, right? And in my head, I thought, yo, let's sand the neck down. And many people told me when I came up with the idea that I was crazy, and that I might not be able to sell it in the future. But it's my first guitar. You don't want to sell that thing. At least for me, for example, I didn't want to sell it. So I thought, why would I care about the resale value if I don't even plan to resell it, right? Besides, it already had like a bunch of dings, maybe a dent somewhere, and the strap buttons are rusting for some reason, even though this thing's like 3 years old, 2 years old. Like, what? But anyway, so I thought to myself, you know what? I don't care, guys. I'm gonna do it anyway, and so I did. Let me explain to you my process. So I was going around YouTube, as people do when they want to learn new things, and I came across two videos that I really got a lot of information from. One guy was doing it to an acoustic, another guy was doing it to an electric, and they were both using two grades of sandpaper. Now, one was lower, the other one was higher. What the first guy doing it to electric used 400 grit, I think, and then 600 grit to finish it off. So it should feel roughly like my electric right here. And the other guy was doing it to an acoustic. He used 800 and then 1500. Now, what these numbers mean are how fine the sandpaper is. The lower the number, the rougher it is, and the easier it's going to get through to the finish. So it's gonna get satin really. It's gonna look satin really quickly. But will it be comfortable? That is the question. That's why you go to higher grit. The higher grit allows you to make it much smoother, and still keep it satin. We're talking about this in context of guitars. So yeah. So for me, because I didn't really have those grades necessarily on hand, I had 600 and I had 2000. I also had 1300, but I chose to go for the higher one instead. Uh, Maybe don't go 3000 because you're basically just going to make it look like satin, but it's going to feel like gloss still. So that's not what you want. So what I did, I went 600, removed the gloss finish, just kept sanding all around. I even removed the tuners just to get to the sides so that everything would look uniform, and it did. It worked really well. Just don't gloss the top because you don't want to lose that Epiphone logo. That's pretty valuable. Anyway, um, after I sanded down to make it look like that, oh, it looks dry. It doesn't look shiny anymore. After I was sure that every part of it looked good and felt good, you're even gonna feel it, right? I sanded it. I finished it again with 2000 sandpaper all over the neck again. Um, and the reason why it doesn't have any traces of sanding necessarily on the sides here is because I taped off the neck. You want to make sure that you can tape off the neck separated from the body, so that you don't get any sanding marks on the body, because the body happens to look good if it's glossy. You can't, if I feel like if you tried to make the body satin, then you'd have a bit of a problem. But since the neck is it's on the opposite side of, I guess, your audience or something, it's not as bad. It's fine, because you're the only who's gonna feel it. And let me tell you, this is the best damn neck I've ever used. Like, it's even smoother than my electric, and the electric is where I got this idea from. So there, that's it. I'm just really happy with this. Now, initially my whole plan was to, like, oh, I don't want to do this because I'm scared, right? I'm just gonna save up for a new guitar, i.e. a Fender Redondo player or a Fender Newporter player. Hi Fender, are you watching this? Because if you're watching this, I like your stuff, man. Can you, like, I don't know, hook me up? I'm kidding. Am I? I'm not kidding. But anyway, as I said a while ago, one of the things I want in an acoustic is a cutaway, and that I'm not willing to cut into this thing's body. I think that's off the table. But I think a really good compromise for me, for comfort, was the neck. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. And I think if your guitar is, I guess, considered cheap enough, then I think you should absolutely go for it if you are super sure that you're going to keep it the rest of your life. If you plan to resell it, maybe think twice, maybe thrice before you sand it down. But I know that I did it, and I'm really happy. So that's it for me. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Maybe one day with that Fender guitar I mentioned. Okay, peace, ends up.